Hi there, Chris Saunders here again from Christine's Crafty Art. This time I'm going to show you a little bit more about jelly plates. This is the new fad that's out at the moment in the craft world. These jelly plates, they're like a silicone plate. If I show you this one, this is 6x6. It comes in with two pieces either side. It is literally just a piece of silicone, a flat piece of silicone that you can put paint on. Now I'm going to use the jelly plate today. I'm also going to show you some alternatives. And what I've got for my work is a brayer. I've got quite a hard rubber brayer, but you can use one of the softer ones, it's just as good. I've got a pair of scissors, I've got some cut-out shapes, which I'll talk to you a little bit later, and various bits and pieces that I can press into my jelly plate. This is just an old piece of 3D foam pads that have all gone, and now I'm using what's left. And I've got various shapes cut out from a die cut machine, my Big Shot, and I'll use those as well. But I'll also be showing you how to make pictures with your foam and transfer those pictures onto cardstock or paper such as this, so you can create your own background pictures too. These are some more pictures I've created. Okay, you can get some lovely patterns with this, and you can use up all your bits and pieces. So I'll show you how we go on. I'll just first show you easily how to use your jelly plate. Now I made a mistake when I first used it by putting on too much paint. I'm going to put a small amount of paint on now. I use some red, and this is artist's acrylic paint. As usual, I've got it all over the place, but that's me. That's all crafters, I think. Let me just wipe this off because I can see my elbow going into that bit. There. So I've got two small dots of paint on my jelly plate, and then all I'm going to do is roll the paint on quite thinly to start with, and you'll find if you use a roller you can get quite a nice even pattern. Okay, and I'll pop my roller down. Actually, I'll pop it down there out of the way so I don't get my elbow in it. Now all I'm going to do is pop some bits and pieces on here to make some marks. The marks I'm going to make are with these, what was left from my 3D foam pads. So I'm going to press that on and pull it off. And what will happen is that will leave a mark on the jelly plate of little dots and circles. Okay, and then when we use our paper on top of this, it's going to leave a pattern. I've also got a piece of old cardboard, just a circle. I'm going to add a few little circular bits just for a bit of interest on there. That's all I'm going to do. And now add a piece of paper on top, straight flat down over the top, smooth off the surface so that that paper then picks up all the paint on the top of my jelly plate. And when you peel off the paper from the jelly plate, you get the pattern that was on the jelly plate, all now ready for you to use that on a background for cards or canvases, whatever you like. And you can see it's taken off most of the colour from the jelly plates. But what I will do is just show you quickly, there is still a bit of colour left on there. I'll just put this side back on there and smooth it off and peel it. And there's very, very little left. So it does transfer the paint very, very well. I'm going to give that a quick wipe, then we'll put some more paint on, just using a damp wet wipe to clean this off with. I'm going to use some more red, but before I put the paint on this time, I'm going to create myself a patterned template, if you like. Now you can put paint on these and stamp into them and then put your paper on. Look fantastic. But what I've done, I've got myself a piece of funky foam and I've put some carpet tape on it, some very thick double-sided tape, and I've covered the foam with the tape. Okay, so if I then peel this off piece by piece, and just peel that off, all the sticky now is left on this piece of foam, and I'm going to add a pattern to that piece of foam so I can use it as like a template. I've cut some patterns here. Just move my jelly plate out of the way a moment, and I'll pop that back on onto the plastic bit it came from. I've cut some pieces of funky foam out from a die cut machine, so I'm going to pop these onto this bit of sticky stuff that I've just done to create myself like a little template. Cut some flowers out, some big ones, some small ones. I've done them in different colours. I'm going to leave some off there because we can always cut those later. I've also, from a little puncher, I've cut up some tiny small dots, these small ones, from Funky Foam again. Funky Foam's great, I love Funky Foam. It's good for embossing with if you heat it. It's good if you find you heat the Funky Foam, stamp into it, take off the stamp and you end up with an imprint in the Funky Foam of the stamp. And if it's not come out properly, you can reheat it again and it disappears, so you can do the whole thing again if you want to. So I'm just going to add these little tiny dots, and this will all come apparent in a moment when you see what I'm going to do with this. Little tiny dots around this template. Okay, I'll add a few at the top there just for a bit of interest. You can add some lines later if you want to. This is just to give you an idea of what to do. Now I've got two little flowers that are coming off the sides here. I'm just going to trim them up from the back. And again, this is all on Funky Foam, like we said before. Let's just trim those down so we've got a perfect square. There we go. Now, it's a bit of a pain because the rest of this foam is sticky. To get over that problem, I've got some talcum powder here, and I'm just going to whiz a little bit of talcum powder over this. And what you'll find is the talcum powder sticks to all the sticky stuff, rendering it not sticky anymore, which is great. And the best of all, it smells lovely too. Whoops, lost one of my dots, never mind. Get rid of our talcum powder. Now the back isn't sticky anymore, but the foam shapes are still stuck on. Okay, so let's just get rid of that talcum powder. Oh, I smell lovely now. There we go. Right, so that's all ready to use on my jelly plate when we've got the paint on. So I'll grab my jelly plate again. There it comes. We'll add our little bit of paint. Make sure I don't get it everywhere this time. A few little drops. We don't need too much. Add a bit of orange in it as well, why not? Ooh, that's a new bit of orange because it's coming out in all one big blob. Now let's give it a good whiz across there. That's some lovely colours on that there. Now what I'm going to do is pop my template on top of my jelly plate. Now it's not quite a full square, so I've put my foam on top of my jelly plate, and what's happened, some of the paint's come off on here, which is great, but now on with the paper, onto the jelly plate, smooth it down and peel it off, and what you end up with is the pattern that you've just made on your paper from your template. Best of all though, you can roll this over again and take another imprint. Just put the paint on, you've got plenty left on your roller, don't forget. Just roll another lot on there. I'm going to stamp into this again with my little foam block. If you've got a dry roller, it might be a good idea to use another roller on top of this, but I haven't at the moment. Peel that off. Doesn't look like there's much of a pattern on that one, but let's see, because every one you do is going to be a surprise. Lovely. I love anything like this because I love messing about with paints. That's a nice one too. So there's the two prints we have, but also I'll just move my jelly plate over and clean that in a moment with water. I've got my plate here that I can now re-stamp onto a piece of paper, and I'll have myself yet another pattern. All the paint from the Funky Foam should come up onto the paper. There we go. So I could use that again on my background cards, and I'll just clean the foam off with a baby wipe, and then we can go from there. So I've now got two more prints that I can use. So the prints are mounting up. I've got lots of papers I can use. Now if you haven't got a jelly plate, there is an alternative you can use, and one of them is a Do Craft silicone mat. Another one is a piece of foam, and I put some double-sided sheet on there and some acetate. I'll just show you what happens when you use this. This is the Do Crafts silicone mat that you normally use with your heat gun, and it saves your table from burning, that sort of thing. But you can spread paint onto this. There we are. Spread paint with a roller onto my silicone mat. I'll use the same template here, or actually no, I won't, because what I've done, I've cut some pieces of funky foam out and I've stuck them on in a different pattern, as in a tree stamp. Well, it will be a stamp now, because I'm going to use it as a stamp and stamp it here into the silicone mat, the Do Craft silicone mat. So I'll just give it a quick whiz over to make sure it's all marked. Yes, that's left the imprint on there. We'll pop our piece of paper on, smooth it over. Hopefully the paper will soak up all the paint, and we will have an image of a tree and some grasses. Now this is very, very rough. When you're at home you can take a lot more time than I have, but cut out lots of pieces of foam, experiment, not just with, if you haven't got a jelly plate, try other things, try your silicone mat, try a piece of foam with acetate on top and see what happens. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Off you go, have fun, because I know I'm going to in a minute. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon with some more tips. Bye!